तो अब हम अगला क्वेश्चन देखेंगे क्या था वो? How do melting of Arctic ice and glacier of Antarctica differently affect the weather pattern and human activities on the earth? Explain. ठीक है, तो melting of Arctic and glacier Antarctic glacier are posing posing serious threats to policymakers across the globe since it leads to rise in sea level. It also affects the air circulation pattern and weather pattern, which leads to extreme climate change event. Impact impact of melting of Antarctic and Arctic as follows: scientific facets. Impact of jet stream rise on global temperature, natural disaster, degree of coldness and warmness. Effect of ocean rise, industry, agriculture. Scientific facets. According to scientists, Antarctica contains 90% of world ice. It is if it all melted, sea level would rise by 190 feet. Since 1880s, ocean have been rise more than 8 inches, and Antarctic lost 2.71 trillion metric tons of ice between 1992 and 2070. Half of these losses occurred in last 5 years, indicating that melting rate is accelerating. Okay, the impact on jet stream melting of Arctic will lead to continuous condition of weak polar jet stream, which further leads to extreme climate events. The other major influence on jet streams is tropic sea surface temperature, which waxes and wanes with El Nino, while solar cycle and even volcanic eruptions have smaller effects. Melting of ice will lead to conditions of weak polar jet stream. How the melting of Arctic The other major influence on the jet stream is tropic sea surface temperature, which waxes and wanes. ये पता है The rise in global temperature, the event that connects the melting Arctic with rising global temperature, causes more sea ice to melt. Unlike Antarctic continent, melting ice in the Arctic region exposes the dark ocean beneath. which absorb more sunlight than the eyes. ही भाई ये पढ़ना पड़ेगा बाद में इसको. 12th क्वेश्चन करेंगे भाई पहले तो. हटा. Discuss the multi-dimensional implications of uneven distribution of mineral oil in the world. Mineral oil is unevenly distributed across the world with regional disparity. The amount of oil a given region produces is not always proportionate to size of its proven reserve. For example, Middle East contains approximately 50% of world proven reserve but account only about 30% of global oil production. However, there is an immense strategic importance of mineral oil and its lopsided distribution across the globe have many multi-dimensional implications. Upward warning. सबसे पहले इकोनॉमिक implication. Economic consequences जैसे inflation for the importing country due to unequal distribution of mineral oil across the world. For example, India susceptible to global shocks in oil prices. Regional conflict. Mineral oil resources are strategic in nature. Its uneven distribution leads to greater power conflict over control of the region. For example, dispute in oil-rich regions in the Middle East. Energy security. A high degree of energy insecurity in oil-deficient countries due to uneven distribution of mineral energy resources. It also directly affects the strategic autonomy. Diplomatic leverage. The loop-sided distribution of the vital mineral oil resource is vital factor for leveraging its availability for diplomatic gains. For example, India, huge dependent on Middle East for oil, gives its leverage over India. Balance of trade, it affects the balance of trade between importing and exporting countries. In this in turn affect the foreign exchange reserve of the country. Growth rise in import prices directly hamper the capability of government to spend on welfare objectives. Thus, the uneven distribution of mineral resources leads to various implications ranging from economic to energy security. This highlights the need for India to diversify its energy basket both in terms of content and एक दूसरा है रीजनल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स। Mineral oil resource is strategic in nature. Its uneven distribution lead to create power conflict over the control of waste. A high degree of energy insecurity in world efficient countries due to uneven distribution. Diplomatic leverage. अब हम देख रहे हैं प्रीलिम्स के क्वेश्चंस। The South Atlantic and Southeastern Pacific region. Southeastern Pacific region in tropical latitude. Cyclone does not originate. What is the reason? Sea surface temperature are low. Intertropical conveyor zone seldom occurred. Coldest force is too weak. Absence of land in those regions. The sea surface temperature are too cold. The primary reason for South Atlantic Ocean gets few tropical cyclones are tropospheric vertical wind shear is too much strong. The seasonal reversal of wind is a typical characteristic of monsoonal winds. When monsoons start from southwest direction during summer and the reversal takes place from the northeast direction, while the reversal of wind might also take place in other climates. During a thunderstorm, the thunder in the sky is produced by. During a thunderstorm, the thunder in the sky is produced by none of the given option because thunder is simply the sound produced by lightning. The thunder is caused by rapid expansion of air surrounding the path of lightning bolt. It produces a sudden increase in pressure and temperature of air surrounding within the bolt from the cloud to nearby t- tree roof. A lightning bolt takes only a few thousand of the second to split through air. The loud thunder that follow the lightning bolt is commonly said to come from its bolt itself. The annual range of temperature in the interior of continent is high as compared to coastal areas. What is reason? Thermal difference between land and water, variation in altitude between continent and oceans, presence of strong winds in interior, heavy rains in interior as compared to coast. सिर्फ पहला स्टेटमेंट सही है इसका. One statement where the annual range of temperature in the interior of continent is high as compared to coastal area due to thermal difference between land and water. Water heats and cool down slower than land. That is why the range of temperature in the interior of continent is high. Is in the coastal region due to moderating effect of water, there is much smaller temperature variation across the year. Electromagnetic radiation, geothermal energy, plate movement, revolution of Earth, gravitational force, rotation of which of the following is responsible for bringing dynamic changes on surface of Earth? All of these. All of these given factors are responsible for bringing dynamic changes on surface of Earth in various ways. Electromagnetic radiation from sun provide heat and energy to Earth, which is source of energy of life of Earth. It causes pressure differences and thus wind flow and ocean current, which then have their own effects. Geothermal energy causes volcanic activity along with crustal movements. Gravitational force cause tide, make river flow, and produce a host to other effects. Plate movement lead to formation of continent, mountain ranges, and earthquakes. Rotation of Earth leads to day and night in a short period of time and thus allow life to flourish on both sides of the planet and help to flow the winds and ocean currents. Revolution of Earth cause season to change, which produces its own dynamics to change on the surface of Earth. The increased amount of carbon dioxide in the air is slowly raising the temperature of atmosphere because it absorbs the water vapor of air and retain its heat. The ultraviolet part of solar radiation, all solar radiation, the infrared part of solar radiation, infrared, infrared, DA, slowly raising temperature because it absorbs the infrared part of solar radiation. Electromagnetic radiation of any part of the spectrum produces heat, visible and but infrared portion is one which produces more heat, and it is one which is actually absorbed by the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Normally temperature decreases with the increase in height from the earth's surface. Normally temperature decreases with increase in height from earth's surface because the atmosphere can be heat upward only from the earth's surface. There is more more moisture in upper atmosphere. The air is less dense in upper atmosphere. First or third सही है इसका बस. Normally temperature decreases with the increase in height because it's territorial radiation which causes heating of atmosphere. The atmosphere is heated upward only from the earth's surface. The density of air decreases as we go upward due to low pressure, and hence the temperature decreases. What could be the main reason for formation of African and Eurasian desert belt? The main reason for formation of African and Eurasian desert belt is that these are located in subtropical high pressure cells. Hot tropical desert develop in western side of continent and is zone in northern hemisphere. As subsiding air is warm, dry, thus discourage rainfall, thus bring little rainfall to African and Eurasian desert regions. Statement 2 is incorrect because cold ocean currents have direct effect on desert formation in west coast region of tropical and subtropical continents. Jet aircraft fly very easily and smoothly in lower stratosphere. What could be the appropriate explanation? There is no cloud of water vapor in the lower stratosphere. There is no vertical winds in the lower stratosphere. Both 1 and 2. Jet aircraft fly. It is due to fact that there is no cloud of water vapor in lower stratosphere and there is no vertical wind in lower stratosphere. Cloud and thunderstorm can be proved dangerous to aircraft because water vapor and other weather phenomena cause changes in air density, which is not optimal for flight. Most important, jet aircraft achieve most efficient flight in low dense air. Vertical winds, convection current due to water activity causes turbulence, which is dangerous to flight. In normal circumstances, jet aircraft will fly around a thunderstorm. La Nina is suspected to have caused recent flood in Australia. How La Nina is different from El Nino? La Nina is characterized by usually cold ocean temperature is in equatorial Indian Ocean, whereas El Nino is characterized by usually warm current. इसका- La Nina is characterized by usually cold ocean temperature in equatorial Pacific Ocean compared to El Nino, which is characterized by usually warm ocean temperature in equatorial Pacific Ocean. Both events occur in Pacific Oceans. La Nina in water temperature in eastern equatorial Pacific is cooler than normal. ठीक है